Alright, so I'll be talking about the font selection. So font selection is more like, in a layman's English, what we call handwriting. So just like we have various people with various handwritings, when you write, my handwriting is different from yours. Some are fine, some look, just different handwriting. So we call it font. You might have, it might be something you are familiar with, and for some persons they might not be familiar with it. So that's why I'm just trying to break it down. So font selection is choosing the type of writing for your text, and it's just very simple. Ignore the big grammar. So to change the fonts, for instance, now when I click on this text, this is the font box. Can you see font? Pick a new font for your text. So I can just click on this drop down, and I have a whole lot of fonts available. Now these ones here, I need to download them to use them. That's what they mean. I'll need to download them to use them, which probably could download in a GIF. So in fact, as I over it, you can see that it changes. This one, for instance, now this Gabrola looks quite nice. I could try to like use that kind of font for everything. So I could literally just select, let's say, okay, for everything here, I want to use Gabrola, whatever it is called. Where is it again? Let me type it again. Okay. No, this is not what I intended. Gabrola, I just saw it just now. Okay, this is it. It's quite fancy. So that is an instance of changing font. Then I can say, okay, for these guys here, the names, let us change the font. Let's look for something else. I mean, they are serious fonts, and they are, let me use this Algerian. This is what Algerian looks like. So let's change again to something else. So you could just pick up anything, but you don't want your worksheet to look like a childish playground. You definitely want to use something not so unofficial, or something not so childish or playful. If not, I could just probably come and use this, and then you don't want to use something whereby the users are struggling to really read what you wrote. So in most cases, you might just want to use something very clear, not like this one. I think this is still clear and fancy enough, so I could just return this back to default. Another thing again is, aside font selection, there's also font size. That is, how big or small do you want the text to be. So this header now, for instance, the default font size for everything is 11. You can see when I click on every of them, the size is 11. The size of the text is measured in font. We call it font size. So when I could just click on this drop down and increase it, and you can see as I increase it, it even gets bigger before I even click on it. So I could just pick on 20, for instance, and I've increased that font size. Right, I could decide that, okay, for all these guys here, let me highlight them. Let me just increase it to 14, 12, and 14. All right, having increased to 14, this space is not, it's kind of choked. So I'm going to highlight. We already talked about adjusting column width. I adjust it. Click on country as well. Adjust it. Click on date of birth. Adjust it, and I think weekly salary also. Adjust it to accommodate. So you have it looking better now. Let me zoom back in. All right, now. So that is just basically about font size. It's used to increase or reduce the size of a text. We also have what we call borders. Borders add lines around the cell to create visual separation between data points or sections. So I could now this is the border. This is the border icon. Now you can see that hovering over it is saying border and bottom border, and that is not all I want. So when you click here, there are various options to the borders. You can say you want to add the border to the bottom of the cell alone. You want to add it to the top, to the left, to the right. You want to remove borders. You want to add all borders, both in and out. You could make it thicker. So I click on this. When I click away, you see that place becomes thick by default. And you can as well decide to add border to a group of cells. Yeah. So I could decide that, okay, I want to have this like this here, or I could also say I want to have all borders inside. So you can see that plus top plus bottom plus left plus right, it's all there. And yeah, sorry. So okay, now and you can try to just add where is it? Okay, you can try to just change it to different. There are different other things, top and tick, bottom, border, bottom. You can actually change the color of the line as well. I can say I want to make the color of the line green. I mean, oh, oh, sorry, that's not gonna work. Let me just undo that. Okay, escape. All right now. So there are line styles here. I mean, I really get to you can make the line thicker. I've really had to bother about this. So let me see. Let me just use the thick border. Alright, so that's an example of using adding borders. In subsequent, teachings and videos, practices would use borders, probably a little more correctly. Right now, this is nothing sensible. It's just for practice, just for you to understand that we can actually use the borders, you know, to highlight a piece of a set of cells or a particular cell. Now we also have the alignment. So alignment is literally this is the alignment here. You can see alignment, and what we use the alignment to do is to adjust the positioning of a text or number or any piece of data. So normally we have this one like this. Argentina is aligned to the center. I think I did that in the previous video, probably previous videos, yeah, rather. It's aligned to the center, and the alignment is the one that is grayed out. I can align it to the left, which is the default for all text, and I can align it to the right as well. So I'm going to leave it on the center. So this whole one now, I could decide that I want to align all these dates. I want to align them to the left, or align them to the center, or leave them back where they are. So that is basically align. Text align is just basically to align text to. Now there is also the horizontal alignment here. That is, we'll probably use this later on, but I really get to use this. Let me see what this looks like. Let me click on just one cell and see. Okay, it doesn't work. It can't really work much in this case. It's working a bit anyway. It's aligned to the top. It's shifted to the top, now to the bottom, and now to the center. Okay, this is to the bottom and this is to the center. All right, so that is, but it will be more useful later on. But for now, like I said, I really use this myself. It is basically the this alignment that I get to use. This center, right, and the vertical alignment. What else do we have to talk about? Okay, we have the wrap text and the text center. Now the wrap text, this is still in the alignment section. We have this, it's called merge and center, and we have the wrap text. I'm going to just talk about this last two in this video, But let's start by talking about wrap text. Wrap text, simply like it's written there, it wraps extra long text into multiple lines so you can see all of it. So for instance, now I want to say, okay, comment. I want to add a comment section to each of this. So I've adjusted this. Now in this person's comment, I could just say great player, and then I could say he is getting weak, something like that. He is always late for training. For training, and I think we will put him on suspension. What player is that? That's okay, David Beckham. All right, now so look at this piece of text. Now the normal thing I told us is when it's overlapping, you just adjust the column, right, by either left clicking on this edge and dragging to adjust. So in this case, I've adjusted it to match these two. I'm going to do that, or I could just double click and it accepts everything on that column, including this. But there are some instances whereby you don't want to you actually do not want to tamper with the width. Maybe because you already have some data at the top. For instance, now if I have this kind of long text somewhere here, let me just copy this. Let me cut this rather. Let me paste it somewhere here. Alright now. So if I have this now, if I decide that okay, I want to do this, it occupies it, but it's going to affect the others and it doesn't make any sense. And then that is where that wrap text comes in. So I just click on the column where I pasted it and I click on wrap text, and basically what it does is it still maintains that same width, but it breaks it down until it accommodates everything. That is basically what the wrap text is for. If you don't want to expand the width of the column or of the cell rather, but you, because it's probably going to affect some other things, some other cells above or below, wrap text is basically what to use. Now we also have what we call merge and center, which is very important. Now merge and center, it combines and centers the content of the selected cells. That is, you have to select various cells. Some of the cells might contain text or data, while some might not. Well, you're going to have to highlight or select them, and then after selecting them, you click on it to match them. And when you match them, it's going to place the text in the center. So for instance now, let me delete this first of all. Looking at this header, I wanted an header. Let me first, how do I do this? Let me remove this background color. It's quite too much. Okay, and the text color should be changed. Oh no, sorry, I'm always doing this every time. All right, now this should be text color, this should be black. All right, now, so as this is now, I could just say, oh, it's already affected. Let me just leave it like that. Let me leave it like that. Now as this is the table actually spans from column A, B, C, D, E, F, and here F. So let me just adjust this one. It spans from A to F, and the header is best supposed to be centered. Now there's almost no way. Let me see if I cut it from here and paste it here. Let me see if that will work. Okay, it works actually, but in some, the only thing that makes it work is because I've already done this background color, this fill color. So basically the fill color kind of has some extra formatting that it does. Now let me show you a different instance. Now let's assume that this is I want to write a summary text and I want it to be centered, right? And if I write it here, for instance, it's okay, let me just call this footer. Now it's not looking the way I want. I want it to look like a whole piece of everything is just one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight it from the left, so where I think I want it to end on F, and then highlighting everything, I'm going to have to click on merge and center. Now it merges everything, and you can see that there's no demarcation. It's like just one. It turns the whole highlighted cells into one cell. So I've selected 6 cells, and then I turned it to one, and then I highlighted this text to the center. Now, peradventure, I want to join the 6 cells, but I want to still keep this on by the left. I can do it like this, and I can leave it at the center. In the same vein, I can decide to highlight a whole piece of columns like this as well, and just do the merge, and then it creates. So anything I type here is just there, and you can see that currently is aligned to the bottom. That is where horizontal comes. So I'm going to adjust this. Can you see? So that's this one, vertical, left, center, right, left, center, left. Put it back in the center. This takes it to the top. This takes it to the bottom, and this takes it to the center as well. So I can now decide to add other information after it. That is basically what the merge and center does. Of course, like I always say, in future videos we're going to try using it in more realistic ways, just to make more sense. See you in the next video.